belonging, uh, dignity. I'm getting thrown by I keep hearing that the recording is in progress. So I'm assuming the recording's still in progress. Uh, see, it's all being documented on some level. It's all time and space in a funny conglomeration of things. Anyway, we're back to our whether we're in time and space or we're out here or here, what brings us back to our core is what I would say are 5 common guiding principles of respect, dignity, which for me, dignity means being or feeling valued, belonging, freedom, and collaboration. And that it's not that those are just abstract ideas, but that we commit every day and every thought, every word, every action to claim that for ourselves: respect, dignity, belonging, freedom, and collaboration. And that we commit to engage with others, and that we offer that to others, to respect others, to help others feel valued, to create spaces where people feel that they can belong, and to be in this space of understanding the dance between freedom and collaboration with oneself and with others. And ultimately, when we can start unifying, starting with ourselves, trusting that and cultivating that within ourselves, creating more unity with others, finding allies, we then gather enough resources and power and vitality to create and shape new systems where more people have opportunities to live a life where they feel that they can live out their common principles of respect, dignity, belonging, freedom, and collaboration. So that's what we're here to do, is to cultivate our practice. And as you all know, that we start with me giving a little bit of a talk of context of what I'm seeing playing out in the world with a theme. And then we take that theme and I lead you through a practice, and then we have a chance to reflect. And just hearing from some of you and just watching with myself and the discussions I'm having with people is just we continue to just be bombarded with things that are just throwing us off in terms of what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. And where are we getting lost and where are we getting found? And I just want to share a little bit about, this idea of one of the things that I'm caught up with is, what is causing this extreme polarization? What is causing this animosity? What is causing this need to, or these deep levels of fear and anxiety, which are creating more separation and othering and needing to have an enemy? And, there's the standard things, but, I'm always looking for what's not standard. We can talk about the aggression or the bullying, but as you know, from my TEDx talk, I bring in how chronic niceness is contributing to this as well. But I also want to bring up a concept that I think that not many people are talking about that I think are also a cause of this. But before we get to that, I want to remind myself and us that in our practice that we do on a regular basis, what we're doing is we're cultivating fierce compassion and resilience. And the fierce compassion part is helping us increase the capacity in our hearts to hold more beings without judgment and without labeling or separation. Because many of us, when we suffer from compassion fatigue, or we get worn out, or we just think it's overwhelming, we think, I couldn't possibly think about the suffering of all beings. I would go insane. And you would go insane. But just like you wouldn't ask an athlete, someone to run 100 miles or 160 kilometers first time out, that person's got to train for it. So what we're doing is we're training our hearts to be able to have the capacity to hold more beings where it doesn't tax us. In fact, it can invigorate us. So, and that's what practice is to increase our capacity for compassion, which not only means that we become more durable and strong, we also work through and try to clear the rigid ways that we hold on to separation, where we're not including people, even though we may think we are. We still hold on to resentments or old stories or our own fears and judgments, which are keeping us from bringing more people into our hearts. And the resilience piece is that, as you know, the definition that I use and that we practice with is resilience is a combination of presence, awareness, balance, and flow. Presence, awareness, balance, and flow. And I want to talk about that more because that plays into, you're not going to believe where I'm going to end up. I almost don't even believe where I'm going to end up in terms of where I am right now. But we'll get there. One of the causes, I think, which is causing a lot of our separation and animosity and lack of capacity to meet the challenges that we're seeing. So if you think about presence, awareness, balance, and flow, there's something inherent in that. You could say on one level that they are in a dance with each other. For instance, presence and awareness can have a relationship, and balance and flow can have a relationship. Now imagine, just think about presence for a moment. What could presence mean for you? Just feel into that for a moment. And how is presence different from awareness? Just think about that. Just feel that in your body. You may not have a cognitive response to it, but just feel into that. And the same thing with balance and flow. What is balance and what is flow? How are they the same? How are they different? And I would say that, in a sense, a certain level, in terms of, and I'm offering this for you to take your practice deeper. If your practice is to cultivate resilience and understand that, and to master presence, awareness, balance, and flow, so you move through life in every moment, no matter how easeful that moment is or how much obstacles you face, you can move through the world knowing that you can always be in connection with presence, awareness, balance, and flow. On that level, you could say that you would never do harm to yourself, others, or your environment. If you are truly in presence, awareness, balance, and flow, you are in that beautiful sacred concept, Hawaiian concept of pono, right relationship. You are in right relationship with yourself, with your surroundings, and others. And isn't that what we're cultivating here? And wouldn't that be interesting if that's what we were taught in schools? If our religions and our spiritual practices were simply based on that principle, that our only purpose on this planet is to be in pono, to be in right relationship with ourselves, our surroundings, and others. Which implies that, and this is the key, it's not static. So consider this. If you look at presence and awareness, just take a moment and feel into this. Imagine that awareness is the active state of presence. Imagine that awareness is the active state of presence, that in essence, it's the same. You're in a state of presence, and that presence is the still or static state of awareness. So feel into that. Feel into this idea of presence simply being a still, static state, not rigid, and that awareness is the active state of that. And you could say with balance and flow, it's the same. Flow is the active state of balance, and balance is the still or static state of flow. Like they're the yin and the yang of each other. One way you can explore that, and I invite you to take that into your practice, because I'm sure you're doing this practice that we do once a month. I'm sure you're doing it every day, correct? So since you're doing it every day, you could take this into your practice. One way to do it is just imagine now, I'm going to ask you to look at something in your room. Just really actively look at it. And now don't look at it, but see it. Now look at it. Now see it. And I'm going to ask you now to listen to something in your environment. Now I'm going to ask you to hear it. Now listen to it. Now hear it. Are you experiencing a difference when you're going from looking and seeing to hearing and listening? Anybody want to jump in? Unmute.
I would use the word focus. It's what you're focused on, whether you're focused directly on it or whether you're just kind of focused on the environment and hearing it as part of it.
So which one is the focus part? It's the listening as opposed to the
You're
hearing?
actually specifically listening to it or attending to it, and then
Looking, yeah.
the other part is just, it's there in an awareness.
So it's almost the same, but there's a different state. You're adding something to it. So when you're looking and you're listening, you're actively doing something, whereas when you're hearing and you're seeing it, you're not passive, you're simply receptive. That's a question. I'm wondering.
That's how I'm seeing it. I don't know.
That's how you see it, not looking at it. Okay, I like that.
That's how I'm feeling it. That's how I'm,
Yeah. Anyone else? Go,
Deborah, go.
Go, Deborah.
With one, I felt that I was penetrating, and with the other, I felt I was being penetrated.
Yeah. One being more assertive, one being more receptive. Yeah.
I kind of felt a difference in how it was impacting me. Like on the one, I was more observing, and then on the other one, I was feeling more of the impact of it, or I was more in the field with it or something.
Right. You're in the field with it means you're interconnected with it. It's interdependent. You're in a dance. Those are questions. I'm just wondering, is that what you're saying? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Again, it's very subtle, but I invite you to take this into your practice. So the same thing is that, awareness is the active state of presence, the assertive state of presence, and that presence is the receptive state of awareness. Balance is the receptive or static state of flow, and flow is the active state of balance. So in essence, you can say they're the same, just in a different state. Flow and balance, presence and awareness. Now, why do I bring this up? Again, the idea of resilience, Shelley, what you're describing is to be in resilience means to be one with whatever is unfolding in the environment, and you're adapting to it constantly. And then, Deborah, what you're saying is that to adapt to it constantly, there has to be a sense of motion. There's the yang motion and the yin motion, and that's the assertive and the receptive. And I bring this up because this is what the entire universe is really made of. In my book, Fierce Ability, there's a whole section I talk about symmetrical flow. The whole basis of the universe is movement and motion. There are electrical charges, there are positive charges, there are negative charges. And that on some level, you can say the whole universe can only exist if there is motion. Which means in that there's collision, there's fusion, it may seem, if you were observing it, violent, but in a sense, it's simply just what the universe does. It's what cells do to merge, to become atoms do to become molecules. It's what creatures do to procreate. It's what planets do and stars do to grow and develop. And you could say on some level, since it's always in motion, that the universe is always seeking equanimity. Could say equilibrium. but maybe even what if actually the basic nature of the universe is benevolent, and it's seeking out a certain level of equanimity, of peace. In the disruption, it's seeking out peace. If you look at physics, you know there's always motion in the formula for anything, and for polarization in its scientific state is constantly shifting from positive to negative charge, back to positive charge to negative charge. Again, I'm bringing this up to get to a point that, in essence, this is the nature of the universe. It's always in motion. And the more that we can be in presence, awareness, balance, and flow, the more we are living out our potential of being peace. And that anywhere where we are rigid, we're cutting off our access to that power. Whether that's mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, wherever we are rigid, we are cutting off our connection with the natural flow. Now, here is where I'm going to bring it back. Like, how the hell did he get there? Excuse my French. One of the things that I think is causing a lot of the pain that we are in and the suffering is this bizarre notion that things should be fair. We have come up with this human-made construct that somehow there should be fairness in the universe. There is no room in the universe for fairness. So, and why I think that's important is because what I'm seeing, particularly with a lot of different groups, particularly I would say, younger groups, and I would say it's very American and Northern European, is this, or North American and European, is this idea of I have rights. And if my rights are not met, then it's not fair. The bad things or challenging things that are happening to me are not fair. And I have a right to be angry about it. I have a right to fight for it. I may even say that I have the right to harm other people because it's not fair what's happening to me. And what we're no longer seeing is that that's simply a mental construct. The idea of rights, the idea of law, the idea of justice is a human-made construct. You won't find it anywhere else in the universe. It's not natural. So one of the reasons why we are in what we're in right now is because we're getting further and further and further away from the natural rhythm of the universe. Now, I'm not saying that any of this is right or wrong. I'm simply bringing this up as a point. I see so many people. There's someone in my life, some of you may know who this is, someone very dear to me who is in the justice system. She is one of the most fair people I have ever met in my life. I've never met anyone more fair. It's kind of annoying on a certain level that she's so concerned about doing the right thing and all of that. It's a great quality. And I say to this person often, I can track most of your suffering to this feeling that things that are happening to you are not fair if they're not going your way. And just think about the number of creatures and human beings and creatures in the environment that have suffered throughout human history in the name of justice. So I want to just bring this in, that's another mental construct that we have that's causing a lot of what we're seeing is this belief that we have human rights. We have the right to this. In fact, what I often say is that one of the tragic issues in the United States since I would say the 50s or 60s is that an original agreements that the founding fathers said was that we have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Listen to what I said. Those were simply agreements that human beings made with each other that didn't exist until those agreements were made. That For them, every person, citizen of the United States, of course, they never realized that, should have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. What I find tragic is that like I said, somewhere in the 50s and 60s, certainly the 70s, the pursuit of got kind of like eliminated. And we're living in a culture where people feel like they have the right to life, liberty, and happiness. And therefore we see a lot of, I could trace a lot of the harm that we're doing to one another back to this idea that we have the right to be happy. Now, if this is activating you in any way, great. Again, I'm not saying that there's anyone needs to be right or wrong. I just want to bring this in with this idea of in what ways are we still creating rigidity in what we're thinking and saying and doing. And that to consider that every time we get this idea that we deserve justice or we deserve this or that may be true on some level, but remember that it's not natural law. It's basically a human-made construct. And what I find a little frightening for myself is the number of people who truly still believe that a justice system is infallible. And therefore, sitting back and seeing injustices happening or harmful things happening and simply saying, I don't need to get involved. The justice system will take care of it. Well, we've seen throughout history where justice systems have not. They're not all pervading. They're just basically a bunch of man-made, person-made agreements. And like anything that is created and made, we have to cultivate it. We have to let it grow. It also has to go through its balance and flow. And in essence, what we're losing in that, on one level, I believe this, that laws are the #1 cause of crime. That laws give people permission to come up with creative ways to try to evade the law, instead of what? Cultivating personal vows. Any culture or group of people that come from vows as opposed to laws are much more peaceful and less violent and more collaborative and cooperative. But if you have laws, then you don't have to teach your children or people how to take responsibility for their own thoughts, words, and actions. So in essence, what would it take for more of us to just to connect with that? Where we have personal responsibility and power in our own thoughts, words, and actions. And that on some level, if we choose to create a world that is more peaceful and more equitable, what can we do to step into that? And how do we address those rigidities, as I say, we're addressing? So let that sit, and you may have things you want to share. I want to get into the practice, and then we can certainly discuss that afterwards. But take whatever you're feeling within your system based on what I'm saying. Take that with you. It's nice to see. Oh, that's Michael George. Michael George. One of the biggest hearted people I've ever met in the entire universe is here. And I've met some pretty big hearted people. Anyway, so Deborah is asking a question around, I'd like to save that for afterwards, if that's okay, of the distinction between equitable and fair, because I would love to hear what other people have to say about that, and I would like to get into the practice. And I think it's a great question. All right, so as always, finding a way to sit where your spine is straight without being rigid. There's no right way to do this or wrong way to do this. It's about finding your way. And then we're in this practice, cultivating deeper levels of fierce compassion and resilience. Your spine is straight. Relax your jaw, your shoulders, your belly. Bringing your awareness into your lower belly to connect with your core, your center, which is approximately the width of 3 fingers below your navel and 1/3 of the way into the body from the front of the body. Center of gravity, impulse, creativity, gut wisdom, personal power, and awareness. From your center, becoming aware of your contact points, the parts of your body that are connecting with what you're sitting on the ground. Feeling the stability under you. The more stable, the more you trust that stability under you, the more you can allow yourself to drop in and be held. Feeling what's under you, representing the earth beneath you if you go deeper. With respect and honor, connecting with the surface of the earth below you. Honoring all the creatures that have walked along this little spot that you're sitting on. The different groups of people who have stewarded this land in a beautiful and sacred way. Honoring that, honoring them. And in this idea of understanding the dynamic of receptivity and assertiveness, of stillness and activity. As you're sitting in stillness, relative stillness, feeling the earth beneath you, just remembering that the earth is moving thousands of miles an hour or kilometers through space in this very moment. That while you're feeling this sense of stillness, it's kind of an illusion if you think about how fast we are moving through space in this moment. So enjoying the stability under you, enjoying the fact and honoring the fact that Mother Earth has got you. Using this practice to come more into the present moment by cultivating awareness. First starting with yourself, so from your center, become aware of your physical body. Feeling with your physical body the dance between presence and awareness. Can you feel presence in your body, and are you aware of that presence? And are you aware of the body? And you feel in your physical body both the stillness and the flow. As you cultivate this and find the peace and the union in essence of that, of presence and awareness and balance and flow, you let go of any held on to rigidity in the physical body. From your center, become aware of your emotional body. Once again, presencing your emotional body as you are aware of your emotional body. And you sense both the stillness in your emotional body and the flow. Allowing energy to flow and emotions to flow. From your center, become aware of your thoughts, your mental body. Can you presence the thoughts, your mental self? Bring awareness. Can you track any stillness in your mental body? Can you track the flow? Maintaining connection with your core, your personal power. Now bringing awareness to your heart center in the middle of your chest, where your heart power resides. Compassion, respect, connection. And from your center and from your heart, becoming aware of that part of you that has connection with something larger than yourself. Can you presence that part of you? You might call it the spiritual body. Can you bring awareness to that part of you? Can you feel the stillness in that part of you? Can you feel its flow? And in this moment, what is your connection to something larger than yourself? Can you feel the flow of that? Can you feel the stillness of that? Feeling your connection with the earth beneath you, something that's larger than yourself, and all parts of yourself. Allow that to radiate out from your heart, from your core, to fill your personal space, radiating out right to the edges of your boundaries, of your personal space, in all directions. Presencing your entire personal space and you within it. Bringing awareness to that. Feeling the stillness in that and the flow. With this awareness of self in this present moment, take a full deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Maintaining connection with yourself in this present moment. Now adding to your awareness of the present moment, now becoming aware of your surroundings, keeping your eyes closed, become aware of the space around you, outside, on the other side of your personal boundaries. The room you're in. Instead of listening to the sounds, can you hear the sounds? Smells, light. Feeling the stillness in the surroundings as well as the flow. Feeling your current dance relationship with your surroundings. From receptive to assertive to assertive to receptive. And feeling this dance within yourself, of self, and the dance with your surroundings from your center and from your heart. Take a full breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. And now building on this awareness of the present moment from your center and from your heart, become aware of those in this meditation circle. Those who are holding space with you here on the World Wide Web. Those who are joining us from around the world, in North America, Europe, and other parts of the world. From your center and from your heart, connecting with honor and respect with their center and their heart. Can you feel, as you're connecting with them, the sense of presence within them and you, the sense of awareness? The stillness between you as well as the flow. What way are you feeling in right relationship with yourself, your surroundings, and those in this meditation circle? And with this awareness of self, surroundings, and those in this meditation circle, take a full breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. with this awareness, building on this, cultivating that, stretching our heart muscles. So with awareness of self, surroundings, and those in this meditation circle, now from your center and from your heart, becoming aware of all human beings. First, beginning with those human beings you would consider loved ones. Using the rigid label of loved ones, who arises in your heart? And what faces do you see, or groups of people? And as you stand or sit face to face with them, and you sense your level of presence and awareness with them? And can you find within the dance of those, your loved ones and you, that sense of stillness, that balance, as well as a sense of flow? The dance between assertiveness, assertive receptivity, and receptive assertiveness. Stillness to flow, from balance to flow. And where do you feel, maybe with some loved ones, that there's something sticking that's keeping it from being in flow or balance? Simply let it be. Taking your loved ones with you as you now bring your awareness from your center and from your heart, your connection with those that you would label strangers. And who arises in your heart? How many strangers can you hold in your heart? 2, 3, 300, 3,000, 3 million, 3 billion? Who do you see? As you presence yourself and deeper your level of awareness with them, and how much are you feeling a sense of balance and flow? And how much are you feeling the interconnectedness and interdependence with these beings? And from your center and from your heart, become aware of those human beings you would label adversary. And who arises in your heart? What faces do you see, or groups of people? Feel it and be honest. How many can you bring awareness to? Can you presence yourself and bring awareness to these human beings? Are you sensing a sense of balance and flow with them? And acknowledging that and feeling into that. Considering that even with these beings, that if you believe that we are interconnected and interdependent, then you must be interconnected and interdependent with them as well. And asking yourself, and how much am I in pono with loved ones, with these adversaries, and with these strangers? And how much am I in right relationship with myself, my surroundings, those in this meditation circle, loved ones, strangers, and adversaries? Imagine each and every human being that you're holding in your heart. In fact, every human being on this planet, remembering that fairness is a mental construct and doesn't exist anywhere in the universe. And that each and every one of us are able to let that go. What could replace it? as we let go of this idea of fairness, the rigidity of fairness. Maybe that invigorates us to commit to creating more opportunities for people to feel respect, dignity, belonging, and enjoy the challenge of the dance between freedom and collaboration. For ourselves, for all creatures, and for the planet itself. And with that freedom in our hearts, free of this mental construct of fairness and justice, allowing all human beings to flow into your heart as you bring your awareness back to those in this meditation circle, with all of your honor and respect, sharing this experience with each and every one of us. Allowing those in this meditation circle to flow into your heart as you bring your awareness back to yourself, to your surroundings. With gratitude for your surroundings, allowing your surroundings to flow back into your heart as you bring your awareness back to yourself. And one last moment of just experiencing the possibility of, in every moment, experiencing right relationship with yourself. The dance of presence and awareness, the dance of balance and flow. Acknowledging and feeling in your system the efforts you've put into this practice, allow it to flow into every cell of your being, vitalizing every cell, flowing into all of your organs, nurturing your organs, flowing into your nervous system as a way to remember this. And as a way to close this practice, let's all take one final breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. Very slowly open your eyes, look around the room, stretch your body, shake your body. Okay, so we started with our contemplation. We had a chance to practice, and now I'm curious. We've got a few minutes left. If you want to jump in and share what's on your heart, it could be about the discussion, it could be what came up for you, it could be anything else that's on your heart in this moment. Mika?
I like to share a story. And you triggered me because of the laws that should be fair. When I was a teacher, it's about 15 years ago, we had a group of students, 18, 19, 20 years old, and we went a week out of school. And then you need a program. And there had to be something educational, a museum, something sportive. And we discussed with all the students, we're not that much, 15, what can we do to make this week a big success? And they had beautiful ideas, and we could make a beautiful program. And then 2 days before we went, one of the students said, don't we need rules? Oh, and what do we need rules for? They had to think about it, and they had some wishes, and one of the wishes was, we don't want to start in the morning before 10 o'clock. Well, that's fair, because they want to make it late at night. It's okay. And where do we need rules for? Well, when we go out and someone drinks too much beer and throws over, what do we need to do then? And they got their own solution. That one has to give everyone a piece of a cake the week when we went at school. Well, the week was great. I never had such a easy week because I never have to look at anything. Sharp 10 o'clock, the whole group was there. All the programs were great. Last night at, I think, half past 2 in the night, one of the students drank too much, throw over. Beautiful, he did it in the closet, in the toilet, so there was no problem. And there was only one, everyone was, yeah, we get a piece of cake next week. So no one had, I didn't have to look who broke the rules and had to be, oh, you're a very naughty boy or very naughty girl. And at the Monday after we went home, at 12 o'clock, he came with a big tart for everyone. And it was the greatest week I had with such a group of students ever. Now, that came up when you had it talked about rules and laws.
Yeah. What's your conclusion? Oh, did someone say something?
My conclusion was we collaborate. You know that? Do you call that so?
Yeah.
That way? We were all responsible and we all want to have a great week.
Yeah. Exactly. It's possible. It's really can be that easy.
Yeah.
You're teaching responsibility. Those are vows. People make a vow where we're going to agree to do these things. Having agreements about how to treat one another is okay. It doesn't have to be punitive.
No.
Right? That's and it was creative and there was buy-in, right? So as you know, for those of you who've seen my TEDx talk, it's about how do you go from creating conflict to getting collaborative buy-in.
Yeah.
Which means that everyone has to be in their power and have to be willing to contribute and feel also that their contribution is going to matter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the answer is, if this works, everyone gets a nice piece of cake.
Yes.
I'm in.
I'm into forever.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I just kept thinking about your elephant walk and entropy, and when you talk about flow and how important it seems like, or I don't know how it would happen, but it seems like the world is moving so fast. And I remember when we did the elephant walk, we started out really, really slow, and then we slowly speeded up. So we were maybe bumping into each other, but not hurting each other.
Yeah.
And when you think about nature and how fast everything is, it's almost like the speed of everything and all the things that are going on is part of what's creating the pain and the struggle. Because everything's not moving in a slow flow, where there's room to kind of focus and not crash into each other, but just kind of glide around each other, Anyways, that just went through my head.
That's beautiful. I love that. Yeah. That's the other system, along with presence, awareness, balance, and flows, grounding, focus, strength, and flexibility. Yeah. Yeah.
When you were speaking about the difference between active and more passive in presence or
receptive.
Right, receptive. It made me think of the native peoples and speaking about things as verbing, like we are verbing, like the river is not a river, it's like it's in flow. Everything around us is in flow, and we often look at things and think of them as objects and as still things. And then that led me to think that part of the way that I know if I'm in right relationship or if I'm in Pono is because all my senses are activated. So I'm aware in a way that allows me to perceive. I mean, it's a complex system that we're in as humans. And then when we're in the relational with one another, so the more awake I am in my senses to notice what's happening in a situation in my body, in the emotional field around me, the more I'm aware if I'm in alignment or the adjustments that I need to make in order to make space for those around me to continue their flow, because we're all connected. So
Beautiful. Yeah. That's you know, and that, if I may, it seems to me is that, you know, we're always in that state of interconnectedness. It's about us catching up with that. Right. So what you're talking to is the active state of actually cultivating what we already are, the awareness part of us catching up.
mhm.
And Dr. Janet offers a quote, "Stay in the still point of the turning world" by T.S. Eliot. Yeah. And Janet's coming to Dr. Janet's coming with her quotes. I love it. Be here now, Ram Dass. Anyone else want to share? And I just want to know if we can, before we close, we only got a minute about the distinction between equitable and fair. Lisa, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I was just reminded of one time. This is just kind of a small thing, but I just remember one time I was outside where there were flowers, and I walked by this one flower, and there must have been like 8 different kinds of insects, big ones, little ones. And it was amazing to just like all of a sudden be aware and watch these insects just each getting what they needed from the flower. And they were kind of just going around each other and working together in harmony. It was amazing. Like everybody could get what they needed. And I was just thinking, God, I wish we humans could do that. That's amazing. It was total harmony right there, you know. It really did, like big ones, little ones, and everybody was just doing their thing, and nobody was like killing each other to get more. You know, it was amazing. So I just wanted
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. That's sorry. Did you do anything else, Lisa?
No, thank you. That's it.
Yeah, and that's a great example of what I'm saying, is that is the nature of the universe. You know, what if the universe is in motion because the universe is constantly seeking out equanimity and equilibrium? And in essence, that might be the answer to the distinction between fair and equitable. Is that the ants or whomever, they're not stopping to say, this wasn't fair, I deserve this or I deserve that, and you're good and you're bad, and we need to create a war around it. It's just like, we've got a dilemma here. What are we going to do to make sure that we all come out of this well?
I think of balance too, and I think of, I don't know, Donald Duck in 𝗪𝗏𝗁 shows millions of pictures of nature's, you know, geometry, and nature balances things. The word balance just really seems like it's a big word, has a lot more to it than just, you know, not being able to be pushed over.
Yeah. Beautiful. By the way, Dr. Janet, I love your quotes. I hope that wasn't perceived in any way that I had any judgments around that. I love you. I love your quotes, and I love your generosity. You're muted. You're muted.
You're right, and I need to go because another Zoom call.
Yeah.
I have another commitment to fulfill. But good to see you, Joe. Take care.
Yeah, good to see you. Well, I just wanted a couple of announcements that I really want to say. You know, again, we do this every month, so if you enjoy this, please come back. And I want to just ask if you could just consider contributing and being of support for this community, to bring people in. And just to let you know that I am doing a 2-hour workshop on June 29th, Overcome Your Chronic Niceness workshop on fierce civility. Please join us. And whether you join us or not, please tell your communities and your circles about it. It's going to be a sweet workshop. It's only $44. Those are dollars. The link is in the chat. it'd be really lovely to have you join us to continue with this conversation around fierce ability and the role of chronic niceness and how it's holding us back and finding our voices. And there are other links. And if you want to make a donation for this or for other global heart gatherings, there's a donation there's a link for donations. There's a link for getting on our mailing list. There's a link for upcoming events and our schedule. So just make a note of those and copy and paste those. If you're in the Tampa area, I'm giving a talk Thursday evening. Or if you know people in the Tampa area, I'm giving a talk, which will be really fun. Check it out on the website. Michael George, it's great to have you here. So it's great to have you bring your heart into this space.
It's great to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And of course, all those who come on a regular basis. So let's just dedicate this energy. May the energy that we've generated with these brilliant hearts and minds, may the energy be directed towards those who aren't being treated fairly or equitably, who are disempowered or underprivileged or struggling. And may this energy support them in finding their power. And more of us restoring that sense of equity and equanimity and equilibrium. For more of us to step into our power, overcome our suffering, and find our true power and selves. Okay. Thank you. Great to see you. Have a good month. July, the second Tuesday of July is our next session. So make a note of it and we'll see you then.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Love
Bye,
ya.
everybody.